This man here stepped out in the sun to sunbathe. However, after only a short period of time sunbathing, the man experienced a bad reaction to the UV light from the sun, and it caused him to get severely hurt.
A sunburn, one of the worst possible ways to experience pain.
It can build up to an increase in skin disease, dehydration, and cause an increase in skin cancer likelihood. The man had noticed for his whole life that he always had very sensitive and unprotected skin. So he went inside to talk to his mom.
He had always been very vulnerable to scratches and abrasions across the course of his life. Due to the severity of the pain from the sunburn, he decided to visit the doctor's office to figure out why he was sunburned after such a short time in the sun.
Together, the mom and the child got in the car to go to the doctor's.
He asks his mom if she knows anything about why he got sunburned. The mom responds, "The doctors mentioned something when you were born about a mutation in your genes, but I'm not really sure."
They arrive at the doctor's office, and together they walk inside.
"Come in," says the doctor. "So what's the problem?"
The mom then informs the doctor about what happened, and the doctor decides to take them to the back office to get a closer look. The doctor believes there could be a genetic mutation in the man's skin, so he decides to inform them about what mutations are.
Mutations are a change in DNA sequence of a particular gene that occurs across all species. Mutations have the ability to be neutral, detrimental, or beneficial depending on how they affect the organism they occur on. Mutations occur in genes through failed cell division and errors in DNA replication, or formed through damaging effects on mutagens such as radiation or harmful chemicals.
The doctor then decides to get a closer look at the man's skin, and he realizes the problem. The man was born with the hairless mutation. Without the hairless mutation, he would have hair all over his body, and it would help to protect him from negative factors such as UV light, or it would help to regulate temperatures in hot or cold environments.
The hairless mutation changes the man's appearance due to a lack of hair on his body and protection throughout his body. Also, with the hairless mutation, the strong connection with hair follicle receptors is taken away. These receptors are sensitive towards touch and pressure movement of the hair. The lack of connection creates a lack in connection with the environment.
The hairless mutation can take away from enjoying things such as staying out in the sun or being in extreme temperatures, or even the way you physically feel things. Along with this, the hairless mutation affects the hairless gene. This gene is responsible for coding the hairless protein, and this plays a role in hair follicle development and the hair growth which takes place. The doctor then walks over to show them on his clipboard a more in-depth picture of the hairless mutation and mutations in general.
Keratin is also taken away from the development due to hairless mutation, as keratin is key for being a driver of creating hair growth. So when there's hairless mutation, the protein does not affect the hair follicles or any other area of the body, which affects the growth for hair.
The doctor then showed them a diagram on transcription and the enzymes that occur during transcription. And when it comes to this specific type of mutation, enzymes can be a heavy factor for the loss of someone's hair.
Primase, an enzyme involved with the DNA replication, synthesizes short RNA primers that are necessary for the initiation of DNA synthesis by DNA polymers. If mutations occur with the genes that encode the primase or the proteins which go along with it, a potential error could happen in the DNA replication, which affects the hair growth. Ligase is the enzyme which is known as the gluer. It catalyzes the joining of DNA strands together. It plays a role in the DNA replication by helping the repair and recombination. Certain factors in genes such as mutations could encode the ligase, but while doing so, also its associated proteins, which is not a problem, but if a DNA repair defect occurs or severe error while recombination is in process, then follicle development can be crucially impacted.
RNA polymerase, the enzyme responsible for synthesizing RNA from the DNA template during transcription. Genes which hold mutations play a role in encoding RNA polymerase and its proteins, which affect the transcription of genes involved in the hair development and follicle growth, which ultimately leads to hairless mutation.
Helicase is another enzyme which unwinds the DNA double helix during processes such as replication. This also applies to transcription and repair. Mutations within genes apply code to helicase and its proteins, which lead to errors and defects in DNA replication and transcription, which both play roles in follicle development and hair growth overall. These processes all take place in the nucleus.
RNA takes place in this process and is used in this process because it mainly serves as a temporary copy of the genetic information in the DNA. This leads the cell to transport genetic information from the nucleus to the cytoplasm without the need to move the entire DNA molecule.
When it comes to a molecule or a type of DNA base, they are put into pairs which are then chemically bonded. The chemical bonding process is done through the hydrogen bonds. These bonds hold the two strands with each other and together. Then the base pairs pair up and with each other. This is called complementary base pairing.
A strong analogy which conveys transcription can be a recipe for pasta, which represents the DNA, sitting on a table in a pantry, the cell's nucleus. An assistant copies the recipe, transcribing the DNA to make the messenger RNA, and exits the pantry into the kitchen with the recipe. The employee then hands the copy to the chef, which is the ribosome. The doctor then decides to show them a diagram of translation.
Different types of RNA play a crucial role in translation. The mRNA is known as the messenger RNA, which carries the genetic information from the DNA in the cell's nucleus to the ribosome in the cytoplasm. The mRNA is then used as a template for protein synthesis.
The tRNA is what brings correct amino acids to the ribosome, which is based on the mRNA sequence, ensuring that the proper assembly of the protein is done. The rRNA is a component of the ribosome structure which provides a catalytic site, so then forming occurs between peptide bonds and amino acids.
Codons, anticodons, and amino acids are also major components of translation. Codons are nucleotide sequences on mRNA that correspond to specific amino acids. Anticodons are complementary nucleotide sequences on tRNA that form together codons during translation. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein, and they come to the ribosome through the tRNA molecules, which comply with the codons on mRNA through the base pairing between codons and anticodons.
They overall play a crucial role in translating the genetic information from mRNA into proteins during translation.
During the process of translation, protein formation is also a major point in the process. The ribosomal subunits come together on the strand of mRNA where they proceed to attract tRNA molecules, which are tied to amino acids.
The peptide bond is a chemical bond that is formed by joining the carboxyl group of one amino acid to the amino acid of another. Lastly, the doctor showed them a diagram on substitution point mutation, which is the most prominent way the mutation occurs. Substitution is when one single codon is substituted or swapped for another, overall changing the mRNA sequence. The doctor then walked them out. And as they got in their car to drive home, they reflected on how they now knew about the hairless mutation in the boy, and that they were ready to adapt to keep him safe from all types of other harmful mutagens in the future. The end.